So first, with your Sharpie, please put your name or your initials somewhere on your sheet because they're all going to look kind of similar. So let's make sure that we all know whose they are. So it can go right on the front, just some way that so you know it's yours. And then also with your Sharpie, I'm going to have you divide this this sheet up into some random shapes. Say like 5 or 6 different shapes. You can do whatever you want. But we're going to practice some different techniques inside these shapes. So just some random shapes like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 7. The first one is just called flat wash, and that's where you're going to take a brush and get it wet, and then just choose a color, and then try to evenly paint one of your shapes. I'd go with a smaller shape for this one, because what happens is as the brush starts to run out, you get places where the if you have to reactivate the color, sometimes it doesn't smoothly blend with the first section you did. So choose a small shape and try to paint it in fully and completely in one go without having to add more color or water to your brush. It's easier with a smaller shape than it is with a big shape. For the second one is related to the first one, and we'll do a little comparison. So what I want you to do is clean your brush and make sure it's nice and clean and also like pretty soaked with water. And then in a shape that's not adjacent to the one you just did, because that one's going to be wet, what I want you guys to do is paint the shape with a clean brush. So make sure that the brush is like really nice and soaked with water. It might have a tiny trace of color in it, that's okay. And then just paint that shape. So you're basically painting without any paint right now. So you're going to soak that, and you should be able to tell that it's soaked because it's going to be really shiny. You should see like some shiny water on there. And then once you are satisfied that that area is soaked, then you're going to go back and use the same color you just used for your flat wash so you can compare. And then watch what happens when you paint that shape that's wet. So as you fill it in, you can move the brush around and it's going to start to, well, see what happens. It's a pretty cool effect. And if you notice, the color won't go past the edge of the puddle you made. It should stay like, it should basically go to the edge of that puddle and then stop, because that water barrier is going to contain all the pigment. Okay, this one's called wet and wet. Okay, third technique. Third technique is going to be a gradient. We've done gradients before. And this one is going to be a one-color gradient, so it's going to be a color that fades from lightest to darkest. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to soak the, I'm off the screen there. I'm going to just load the brush and I'm going to soak it. And then I'm going to, just like you guys did it with your gradients with the tempera or with the watercolor, is move the brush in one direction with that color for a little bit, maybe to about there, so part way over the shape, and then wash out your brush. Like, you can really wash it out most of the way, and then with your brush you're then gonna use just the wet brush to then kind of drag what's remaining of that paint across the gradient. See how I did that? It takes a little practice to do, but if you get the right touch, you can create a really effective one-color gradient. You paint the shape part of the way, and then quickly rinse out the brush, like most or all, And then while, I say quickly because while that paint is still, excuse me, while the paint is still wet, you take the brush that's now mostly just clean water and you grab what's left of that wet paint that you just laid down and you sort of drag it across. You get a pretty nice fade. Okay, 2-color gradient. So think back to color theory. Remember analogous colors? What are analogous colors? They are colors that are nice, next to each other, okay? So colors that like each other, colors that blend well together. Because now you're going to do a 2-color gradient. All right, so I'm going to do blue, what did I say? Blue to red? All right, so I'm going to need 2, thank you. I'm going to need 2 brushes here. So I need my blue. And then I need to kind of quickly switch to a second brush, and I need red. And I'm going to start from either end here, so that when the weakest part of the color, the sort of the last remnants of the color get together, they're going to mix together like that. I would have been better off doing this with a slightly smaller shape. I had a lot of area to cover here and kind of a small brush. All right, I'm going to stop the video.